Hello everybody, my name is Delta MD88 Fan and welcome back to my channel. In today's very special video, we're going to be doing a overview video of my 1 to 400 scale model airplane collection. This video is meant to be for 2024. The date of recording this is January 6, 2025. I have not received any new airplanes since Christmas, so I've decided that this video is going to represent 2024. And I'm going to make this next video for in 2026 covering 2025. So these videos are going to be really hard for me to make due to the amount of models that I have and the limited time that I have at my disposal. So I decided to go ahead and just do one a year for my total airplane collection coverage. Now, so we're going to go ahead and get started with the main shelf here. I have my miscellaneous airplanes up first, so I wanted to knock these out and get the more entertaining stuff throughout the video, mostly towards the end as well, to sort of keep the view count going through. So, without any further delay, let's go ahead and get started. That does not mean these models in particular are not that interesting, but hopefully there's a niche audience out here for each individual one. So let's go ahead and get started and showcase them all. If I do not remember a specific brand, please forgive me. I have a lot of models to go through. So we have the brand new 747-200. This is the prototype. I believe this is Patriot models. I just received this one for Christmas. This is a brand new model, so happy to have this one. We've got the NG sample MD80, the original sample that you can only get through the points. We have the Socatec, I think, Air France Concorde. Getting into our military, we have a United States Navy C9 Skytrain 2 by Aeroclassics. We have Fat Albert, the current C-130J. We have the C-130T Fat Albert, so the one before 2020. We've got a Boeing E-767 Airborne Warning and Control System, so AWACS, by the Japan Air Self-Defense Force. As an Ace Combat fan, I have to have this one in my lineup. We have a Boeing C-17 Globemaster III and a Rockwell B-1 Lancer. So this is all my military and miscellaneous airplanes for 1-400. And now let's continue on with the cargo section, and we'll get into the airliners very shortly after. All right, in this section, we're going to cover my cargo fleet. We've got several different airlines to cover, DHL, Kalitta, UPS, FedEx, and some other ones. So without any further delay, let's go ahead and get started here. So we've got a DHL 737, I think this is a 400 by Panda Models, a DHL DC-930 freighter, and a DC-940 freighter, a Kalitta Air Chargers 2 727, that's Gemini. I've got a DHL 767-200 by Aeroclassics and an Airborne Express 767-200 by Aeroclassics. A Kalitta Air 747-400. This is more of a mixed-use airplane than cargo, I understand now, but I wanted to throw that in here because it was on the cargo shelf anyhow. So Kalitta 744, I think that's JC. And then also JC is the EVA Air Cargo 744, non-interactive. Hopefully we get an interactive someday. I'll replace that one. And we've got a UPS 767-300 freighter. This is Gemini. I don't know what release that is. We have a UPS A300-600 and a interactive 747-400. For FedEx, we have an Airbus A300-600. Both of these are Aeroclassics, if I didn't say already. Also from Aeroclassics, this is A310. Excuse me. We have the really weird saying this, but the older style livery 777-200 freighter, interactive. The 757-200, this is Gemini. Would love to find the NG one if I could. And then last but not least, my favorite cargo model, the FedEx 727-200. All right, in this one, we're going to go through my low-cost carriers. So we have Frontier, Spirit, Breeze, and Allegiant to go through. Let's see. So in the front, we have a Frontier A318. I plan to get more of these in the future, but most of the Frontiers I want to get are A319s and stuff from early 2010s. Late 2000s, early 2010s. Speaking of that, the billboard livery is mostly my favorite. There aren't many representations of it. So Perry the Puffin and Jack the Rabbit are up front here. And then my only custom Frontier that I've done yet is Foxy the Fox, the red fox. And it turns out that my Frontier fleet in the current scheme is exactly 1-to-1 ratio between birds and land animals. So let's go ahead and get started. Well, I guess that one, we'll deal with that when we get to it. But we have the deer, white-tailed deer livery. Peachy the Fox custom model. This is a 320. We have Griswold the Bear, 320. This is the Gemini. A very rare combination for me. One of the only Gemini A320s I own, for obvious reasons. And then the Frontier A321. This is a custom with aerials added, as well as the red-tailed deer. These are customs. Virginia the Wolf A321. We got 4 A320neos in the back. We have this one. We got the Penguins. We got Georgia. And that one there as well. That's my Frontier fleet. Getting into Spirit. My favorite up front, we have the Spirit A319. Sad to see them go, but this is my favorite one, so happy to see that one. NG. 2 Aero Classics. Unfortunately, I bought these literally the release before NG dropped theirs. I've been looking to replace them. I've just been lazy about it. But A320 wing fence and Sharklets with the new livery, Aero Classics. Yeah. The NG A321 and the NG A320neo. Going to Breeze, we have 2 A220s. And then we have the E195. If only they made the E190, I'd pick some up too. There aren't any E190s made by Gemini yet. Hopefully they do that, although it's kind of late now, as they're mostly A220s now, so, which I'll be picking up some more because that's all I see now at work. So, and then rounding up the low-cost carriers, we have Allegiant with a pair of A319 and 320s from Panda. We'll be picking up a Max here soon. Hopefully NG makes one, and then hopefully we get some NG MD-80s as well in the 7.5, and then I'll be set for Allegiant. All right, on to the next section. All right, in this part, we're going to go through our sort of business kind of carriers, except for the one at the end, or the ones at the end. So we've got primarily Alaska, JetBlue, and some other miscellaneous ones at the end to get to, so let's go ahead and get started now. In the background here, we have Alaska with their MD-80s. This is a 2-pack from Dragon Wings. We've got one that has the hello and thanks for flying with Alaska in the paint scheme. And the standard one. Hopefully NG releases some Alaska MD-80s, so it'd be awesome. We have an Alaska 737-800 in the old Salmon 30 Salmon scheme. Prefer that one over the new one. The Alaska 739 and the 738 by NG. And then we have the regionals, the Q400 and the E170. And this is the SkyWest E175, excuse me. Next is JetBlue. I can't believe I'm saying this. The old livery, Airbus A321. The A320. I think this is the Spotlight tail. Probably wrong. The new livery, A320. Hasn't grown on me yet. We'll get there at some point. And then I'm so happy to finally have these, the Embraer 190s. These are awesome. hopefully we can get the blueprint one at some point, or some other tails. All right, next we have AirTran, a fleet that I said I would grow, and it's happened, except we've lost some 737s with the hopes that NG was going to make them, but we're still waiting on them, so that's why they're not here yet. But anyhow, 717s. We have the Orlando Magic 717, the Elton John in the old color scheme 717, and then 3 classic 717s. And we have the carriers I was kind of confused about. We have the ATA L1011. It's more of an oddball pickup this year, but I'm glad I have that one. First L1011 in my collection ever. And the Christmas model, one of my Christmas models, the ATA 738. Been wanting that one for well over 10 years now. And then last but not least, the Sun Country 738 by NG. All right, so on to the next group. All right, in this one, we're going to go through a lot of our older sort of airlines. So I don't have everything up here, but I have ones that aren't attached to, say, Delta, United, or American, just as an example. And ones that I could fit up here. There's some airlines that are going to take up this whole space. So I fit up here what I could. So let's go ahead and jump into it here. Up front, we have US Air. We have the US Air DC-9 and the blue tail, and then we have the Metrojet and the blue tail as well. We've got US Air 727, US Air MD-80. This is Gemini. Both these are this is Air Classics. This is Gemini, and then the Air Classics DC-9 as well for US Air. Jumping into an airline that is rapidly growing, we have Continental. We have the Continental 777-200. This is Phoenix. This is one of my favorite pickups in 2024. Absolutely love this airplane. And then we have the Continental 737-800 by NG. We have a pair of Air Classics DC-9s in the middle here. This is the 50 and the DC-930. When Air Classics dropped the 50, I didn't even realize that they had the 50 and they, in the scheme, and they did, so I immediately jumped at it. So Continental DC-950 and the 30 as well. And then Continental Connection and Continental Express Q4 and E145. And then we have a pair of Meatball livery airplanes, a black Meatball, small titled CC9, and the larger titles Red Meatball 737-200. Sorry for the dust. I have a lot of models to get through. And in order to get this video out, some, unfortunately, might have been skipped by accident. So, but I did try to dust all of the models before I brought them up on the table here, so. Next airline, we have the America West 757, A319, and one of my Christmas models, I bought this airplane again. Those who follow the channel from a few years ago remember that I had this one before the CRJ 900s were dropped in 2020. 2021. I had this airplane, so got it back. CRJ 900, America West Express. Next up, we have TWA, an airline that grew a lot in 2023 and 2024. We have the Twin Stripe MD-80, Gemini, Air Classics DC-951, the final livery, the Gold Globe MD-80, and the Gold Globe 717. And then we have two miscellaneous airline airplanes over here. We have a Republic DC-951 and a Reno Air MD-80. I'll be getting the Reno Air MD-90 and the American Reno Air MD-90 once the American one gets in stock in a few weeks here. On to the next section we go. All right, the next airline up, we have Midwest Express and Midwest Airlines. This is my favorite airline in the world, so my collection is certainly going to reflect that. As of 2025, we have a pretty good start on my progress to get a 1-to-1 fleet recreation in 1/400 scale. We have two DC-9s up front. These are Aero Classics, these are Seattle Model Aircraft Company. I'm still planning on getting the Aero Classics release. They're just really difficult to find. but I'll be sure to get those whenever they come in. So we got 2 of these. These are really awesome models. Happy to have those. Next in line, we have my custom Midwest MD-88. This is a old Gemini Delta MD-88 that had some paint defects, so I decided to custom it a few years ago into Midwest MD-88 paint scheme, the interim paint scheme. So just after the ME and the first integration of the Art Museum 2000s logo design. So happy to see this one. Hopefully we can get some NG ones here soon as well. Making up the vast majority, we have the Phoenix release, Midwest 717. I have 9 of them. So basically this model here times 9. So they made up the vast majority of the fleet. And over here we have the custom corner. So we have the Connect airplanes mostly, and then in the background we have the E-170. That is a Republic Airlines model. So during the Midwest takeover with Republic, or Republic takeover, some of those jets were painted into the Midwest scheme, and that represents one of those jets there. Hopefully we can get a release of that in the future as well. I'd love to stack those up. But in the foreground here, we have a bunch of Connect customs. So we have 2 Beech 1900s, 2 Dornier 328 jets, and an E-135. This is about half of the customs I have in the works for Midwest Connect. Not all of them are done yet, and I just do need decals and to finish painting them. So these will be up and ready, hopefully in a few years. So these are the ones that I have painted. I have plenty more coming. And on to the next set. All right, in this one, we're going to go through all of our Southwest Airlines paint schemes. We have 2 shelves worth of models to get through, so let's go ahead and get started and not waste much time. In the front, we have our specials. So we have the Hardtail Arizona 1 by Panda Models, the Triple Crown 1 by Gemini, Florida 1 by Gemini, Missouri 1 by NG, California 1 by Panda, Maryland 1 by NG, Tennessee 1 by Gemini, Lone Star 1 by Panda, Louisiana 1 by Gemini, Colorado 1 by NG, Illinois 1 by Gemini, Illinois 1 by NG, Freedom 1 by NG, New Mexico 1 by NG, and Imua 1 by NG. We've got a Canyon Blue 733 by Gemini. We've got 4 Canyon Blue 737-700s with the blended winglets by NG. 2 split skimmer version Canyon Blue 737-700s by NG. 2 Canyon Blue split skimmer version 737-800s by NG. We've got a blended version by NG, and we have the Max 8 by NG. We have the Colorado 1 700 by NG, and the Maryland 1 Canyon Blue Tail by NG. We have Nevada Battleborn 700 by NG, by Gemini, and the SeaWorld Shamu 733 by Panda. We've got a Hart Max 8 by NG, 2 NG 737-800s, 2 NG 737-700s, the Desert Gold Max 8 by NG, the Desert Gold 700, we have 2 by Panda, and then 2 Panda 733s. And this completes Southwest Airlines. All right, now we're getting into some of the heavy stuff. So now we got Delta Airlines, and this is one of my bigger fleets. We got plenty of regionals, Mad Dogs, and mainline jets to get through. So let's go ahead and get started here in the front row. We've got a custom E-175 that I made just before they released this one, which is, just how life wants to, handle these sort of things nowadays. So we have one E175LR, a Gemini. We have the Air Republic E175, a Republic E170, that's Herpa wings. We've got 5 CRJ 900s, 2 of which are the 2020, or the most recent release, and then the 3 are the 2021 release. We've got the SkyWest House livery, and then 2 CRJ 700s, one's the most recent, and one is the original release. 2 E145s, 2 CRJ 200s, one again is the most recent, and the other one is the first one. On to Airbus, we have a Airbus A321 NG, and the NG Thank You A321, NG A320, and 2 first release Delta A319s NG, 2 MD-90s, 2 MD-88s, second release. Can't wait for the NG ones. 2 DC-951s, 2 717s, first release, and the latest release with the antennas. And last but not least, the larger aircraft, 747-400 by Gemini. This Gemini 764, which I plan on replacing with the Panda one at some point. Delta 753. 2 NG-75s with winglets, the regular release, and the NG-75 without the winglets. NG-739. NG-738 splits, NG-738 blended, NG-738 SkyTeam, looking for a skimmer one whenever they make that, I'll get that one. And last but not least, a Dairy Queen 737-700. Now, on to the old livery Delta fleet that I've got. All right, and in this section, we're going to go through perhaps one of my favorite one of my favorite collections here. We have my Delta Colors in Motion, Ron Allen, and Widget collection. So starting off with my favorite of the 3 liveries, the Colors in Motion, we've been blessed with plenty of hot releases this year, particularly the Mad Dogs. So thrilled to have those. I've been wanting those for a long time now. And those who remember watching my model release request video would remember that 3 of these airplanes that came out this year were ones I was looking for. So I'm thrilled to have them. Anyway, first we have a Delta 757. This is a Gemini custom with winglets. The 727 for the 3-pack. And a custom 732, which again, like I've said before, I had a custom of this one. This was the release from Gemini from a few years ago. I custom that into a regular Delta scheme, only for a few days later them to release, or Air Classics to release, the Colors in Motion scheme. So, again, this is how life has been going lately. Anyway, so we have MD-90. We have 2 of these. Happy to have those. And 2 MD-88s. Both are fantastic releases. We have the Herpa Wings E170, 2 sexy CRJ 900s, CRJ 700 Silver and Soaring, E145, and the CRJ 200. Hopefully we can get some standard releases of these 2 airplanes this year. And other ones as well. Delta 727 and 732 for the Ron Allen scheme. Hopefully I will be growing that one as well with the MD-80 and other releases. Into the widget, we have the 767-300 by Phoenix, a Gemini 752, and a Gemini 727. We've got a MD-90 and MD-88, both are Gemini, an Aero Classics DC-930, and a Aero Classics 737-200. On to the next set. And so my last one, I made a comment about how I wanted my Northwest fleet to expand. I could say that I fully delivered on that promise. So in this one, let's go over my Northwest fleet. So we have Bowling Shoe and NWA, as well as the The one before that, I believe that's I was gonna say hockey stick, but it's probably thermometer. That's what that is. Excuse me. So let's go ahead and get started. I've had this, quiet ambition to build up a bowling shoe fleet for some kind of Northwest themed airport. So this is kind of the reveal of that. So hopefully you enjoy seeing all these awesome bowling shoe planes. I'm nowhere near done collecting them all, but this is, a good step in the right direction. So let's go ahead and get started. We've got the big ones in the back. We have the brand new blue box 747-400s bowling shoe. Awesome release. So we got 2 of them. We'll get into the thermometers real quick. We have the NG thermometer 7.5. Got that with points. And then the A320 Aero Classics. We've got the bowling shoe 320 and 319. These are both Aero Classics, very rare. We have the Dragon Wings bowling shoe MD80. And 2 Seattle DC9s, 51s. 2 Seattle DC9 40s. And it's going to be a challenge trying to remember which ones are which. I think this is the Seattle. This is the Aero Classics. This is the JetX Memphis DC930. And the other Seattle DC930. And as you can probably tell already, I got 2 of the 3-pack DC9 trios from Seattle. So it's one way of building up these airplanes, and it has proven successful. And then last but not least, we have 2 Northwest Airlines Stop 340s. Super thrilled that I was able to pick those up this year, or last year. On to the NWA scheme, we have the NWA 747-400 and the DC-1030. The 757-200, A320, and 2 319s. Both of these are Aero Classics, Gemini and NG. We have 3 Aero Classics DC-9s to go through. We have the 51, 40, and 30. 2 CRJs, CRJ 900, CRJ 200, and last but not least, a Saab 340. All hail Miscellaneous Airlines. So these are all my Northwest models, which means it's time to get into the next set as well. All right, and in this one, we're going to go through one of my larger fleets is going to be American Airlines. I have plenty of models, plenty of special liveries, plenty of chromes, and plenty of the current scheme to go through. So without any further delay, let's go ahead and get started. This one's going to be a little bit spread around, so please be patient with me. I don't have a lot of space. So we've got the NG American 777-200ER, the NG One World 757, and the standard 757. We've got the Gemini American 727, the third release Gemini MD80, the JetX polished metal MD80, the screwdriver tail NG MD80, and the pointy tail NG MD80. Hopefully we'll be getting more of those soon as well, now that there's a restock. The Astrojet Retro 737-800, and 2 of the polished metal 737-800s. All 3 of these are by NG. And continuing on that NG streak, we have the Boeing 787-8. I got this to represent my first heavy flight, or flight on a heavy. And it's become one of my favorite models. Also happened to be the first NG 787-8, so I'm excited for that. And the American A330-300. Let's do Boeings. So we have the 737-800 times 2. This is the first release. And the One World 738. And the 737 MAX 8 by NG as well. The NG Medal of Honor Special A321. And the standard A321. I believe this is my first NG model. We've got the Aero Classics A321 fence tips. Getting into the specials, we have the US Airways Retro A321. All these are Aero Classics. the America West A321, the America West A319, the Allegheny A319, the Allegheny A321, Piedmont A321, Piedmont A319, PSA A319, PSA A321. Envoy Air Embraer 175 times 2, both Gemini, a Republic E170. I believe that's Republic. This is Justin Winslow's E170 as well. Gemini, 2 PSA CRJ 900s. I believe this is a PSA CRJ 700. And 2 Envoy 145s. I ran out of space pretty quickly, so I tossed these in here as well. The Air Wisconsin Retro House Colors CRJ 200 and a standard CRJ 200. From the first time that they went with American Eagle back in early 2010s. The Envoy Retro paint scheme, 170, 2 CRJ 700s, the CRJ 200 Sky West, and 3 E145s, the first of which is Skyliners, the second is Gemini, and the third is the Breast Cancer Awareness JC Wings. And concluding it, we have a trio of Dash 8 100s. So happy to have these. It took them well over a decade for me to get them, but I've been wanting them for a long time as I've flown on one, and it was the last time, or the only time I've ever flown on a turboprop was one of these. So we have 2 Dash 8 100s in the standard scheme. Love these. And then the Piedmont House Colors or Retro paint scheme, the old Henson paint. All right, and in this part, we're going to go through my United Airlines fleet. I have plenty of models to go through, and I'm super excited to showcase them to you all. So, without any further delay, let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to get started with the historical ones first. I've got a United DC-10 and a 727 in the Solbass, A319 and A320 Aero Classics in the Battleship, 727 Battleship Gemini, Aero Classic 733 or 734, BAE 146 JetX, and CRJ 200. All of these are Battleship. Next in line we have Ted, A320, United A319 Tulip, and 733 Tulip, E170, CRJ 700, and CRJ 200 in the Tulip as well. United 757-300 with the Evo Blue, Gemini 752, NG Evo Blue with the skimmer winglets, NG 752 Old Colors regular winglets, NG Continental Retro 739, NG United 737 Max 8, NG 737-800 first release, NG 737-800 first release, Aero Classics United A320, 2 Panda United A320s, I think these are altitude models, and 2 Panda United A319s, NG 737-700, and NG 737-700. Old Colors E175, 2 Evo Blue E175s, Mesa House Colors CRJ 900, Mesa CRJ 700, 2 GoJet CRJ 550s, Embraer 145, a CRJ 200, and the Evo Blue, and then the Old Colors, and then last but not least, a Dash 100. That completes United Airlines. On to the next part. Alright, and with this one, we're going to go through my US Airways fleet. I've got a few models in the dark blue / black scheme, and then I have quite a few in the final livery that they had. So let's not waste any more time. Starting here, we have a custom model I've got off eBay. This is a US Airways Shuttle 727. This is a Gemini mold. I've got the Air Classic US Airways A319, the Gemini 734, or 733, I think, and the Metrojet 732. US Airways Express E170, US Airways Express CRJ 700, E145, and CRJ 200. All these are Gemini. Onto the final scheme, Air Classics A321, Panda A320. This is the Miracle on the Hudson reg, which everybody seems to make at this point. Screw everything else, right? US Airways A319, and the US Airways E175, or E170, excuse me. Times 2 CRJ 900s. These are Mesa regs. I believe this is a PSA CRJ 700. 2 -8 100s. 3 CRJ 200s. All these are Gemini. One of my smaller models, a US Airways Express South 340. And last but not least, 2 US Airways co-buses. On to the next set. All right, rounding out my fleet, we have my international collection. We have plenty of narrow bodies in the foreground and heavies in the background to get through. Now, this is something that I plan on improving over the next year and in the future, this entire fleet. The only big restriction right now is storage space. As for the heavies, I have a shelf above my desk that I've been placing them on, which is already out of space to begin with, as it's got 1-200s and Skymarks on it too. And then I'm only limited to 1 cubby for the Canadian and Latin American narrow bodies. So I would plan on fixing this in the future. At some point, we're going to be getting more cubbies installed for the main shelf here. So that means more models, as I want to grow this fleet, but I'm currently limited. Anyhow, let's save the more interesting stuff for last, and let's do the narrow bodies in the front. So starting off with Latin America, I plan on growing this at some point soon as well. We have the NG Aeromexico 738 and the Panda Aeromexico 737-700, Sunwing 738 and WestJet 738. Both these are NG. 2 Geminis up ahead. We have the WestJet -8 and Porter -8. We have the, I think this is an Altitude Models A320, Air Canada, and a custom Panda E319, Air Canada. This was the Air Canada Jets release, but it is the standard Air Canada. And speaking of standard Air Canada, this is the Aero Classics Air Canada E319. The Air Canada Express CRJ 705, and the -8 300. This is by 3D Design Deck. The Air Canada Express CRJ 200, Air Canada Jazz Orange CRJ 200 JC Wings, and the Gemini CRJ 200. I plan on getting more in the current livery. It's just really tough to find them, and the ones I want are sold out. So, and the Air Canada DC9, DC930. All right, working our way from right to left, we have Airlines 7.5 and an Icelandair 7.5. Both are NG. JC Wings KLM 744. The Dragon Wings Lufthansa 744. A Gemini British Airways 744. A NG British Airways 222. And last but not least, the Aviation 400 Pokemon Evolution ANA 333. So this completes my international fleet and my collection video. Thank you guys so much for watching and sticking to the end. Be sure to give it a like if you enjoyed it, and subscribe if you want to see more content like this on my channel in the future. I would not be here without the support from you guys, so once again, a big shout out to you all, and thank you so much for watching. See you next year.